At long last, I am sitting down and talking about the anime Pet that came out for Winter of Anime 2020. This is actually kind of a highly requested series for me to talk about. Many have mentioned to me to actually do a first impressions on this series because of how fantastic it is. And I personally at this time have only watched one episode, but I do plan to watch more because of just the way the first episode was. It was very gripping, very interesting, and I'll talk about everything in just a second. But I have been looking forward to watching Pet for a very long time, even before this anime season and the recommendations from this season, because it has been on the anime chart for a very long time now. For instance, popping up here and there, if it constantly delayed and not popping up, etc. It's appeared every so often, and I was always wondering what's going on, because I read the description a very long time ago, and it finally has arrived this anime season, and I got to finally sit down, find some time, and watch the first episode. And what I'm greeted with is something that actually has a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's definitely not a series that holds your hand. And I think because of that, many are going to skip over this series and not really watch it because of how complicated it could get in some situations if you're not fully paying attention to every little detail. So let's get right into it. So, Pet, what is it about? Is it something worth your time if you've yet to sit down and watch it? So, Pet, even though the name is very, I guess, misleading, it is a series about, like, the supernatural, entering into someone's mind and tampering with their very thoughts and what they think reality necessarily is. And this is something that automatically draws my interest. If you know about what I like, what I enjoy, then you know why I enjoy this series already. I love series that make you think. I love series that have a deeper meaning to it, and this seems like that type of series that has that. Now, will it continue this theme, continue the greatness that the first episode was? I don't know. I have not watched beyond the first episode, but I have heard many great things. I've heard that there's a lot of great plot twists. I heard there's great reveals, etc. later on around episode 4 or 3 or whatever. So I am excited to actually see it for myself. But for now, though, the first episode, that's obviously what I'm going to be talking about and what my general thoughts of it are. So, the first episode starts off with kind of like a flashback. You get to see this situation with a mother and child, and this mother is very upset because she's had a affair, or lots of affairs, and her husband is no longer there, and she has a child that refuses to speak, move, etc., and just continuously watches anime all day like a husk, and not even showing any, like, reaction. There's, like, no life in the said child. It just looks like the child is not even there. And the mother, obviously, at her wit's end, just wants to put an end to it, and then the child starts to freak out, scream, and then we wind up where the child is in a hospital. And then we get a little bit of a scene to where these two characters are talking to obviously kind of understand the situation, either investigators or whatever, and they basically find out that this child is something very different from an average person. The child isn't necessarily like a husk, but the child is just someone that is so open to emotion and is able to peek into the side of people's hearts that they are so affected that they're drowning in that agony, that sorrow. The child is drowning in the sorrow of his mother, of how she's been feeling for a very long time. So this dude confronts this kid and is like, you just don't know how to open and close your mind and heart to where, all these emotions will flood in, and he learns how to make, like, mountains, a valley, a peak, etc., and, you have to where this dude's like, don't ever let someone view inside of the valley, like the bottom, etc. If you do, then obviously bad things will happen, and I do think what happened towards the end of this first episode is reference towards that. But continuing on with the quick summary, basically, the kid is helped out, and the kid can finally have somewhat of a normal life. For instance, he learns how to somewhat control the gift or curse that he was given. Now, we fast forward to other characters long into the future, many years into the future. We have it to where there's this dude that's, like, operating this store, and he has two people that work underneath him. And obviously, these two kids that are working underneath him just seem very happy-go-lucky. They have, honestly, a lot of BL/yaoi, like, atmosphere going on around them, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that, there's definitely an atmosphere going on that this episode tries to present. And then on top of that, you have it to where the dude is doing some form of shady dealings with whatever the dude from the first part of the episode was doing. For instance, the guy that was smoking, etc. Now, this is where it gets very complicated. So, at first, you're like, what's really going on here? Obviously, the dude's doing something very shady. He's giving car keys to this dude. He's giving him, like, a gun. He's saying he'll keep his mouth shut. He won't say anything, etc. And obviously, something really bad is going on. But then, he obviously forgets something and has to return back to give the keys. And he notices his very friend that he's known for a while that should be on vacation is there. And he kind of seems out of his mind. And this is when you get an indication of what is really going on within this series. And it's easy to miss, honestly, if you don't pay attention very closely. The dude with the blonde hair that is talking to the guy's friend in the car, that blonde dude is actually the kid in the first part of this episode that, had to create, like, a peak, a mountain and valleys and all that. You even see the scar above his eye that, he received when he was a child on this said character as an adult. So it's indication that they're the same, just his hair color is different, etc., but his overall features are definitely very similar. So it's clear that whatever happened when the dude had this child fixed, he joined their criminal operation. So we know now that whatever's going on, these people, this criminal operation is twisting people's minds and corrupting them or whatever to do what they want for they can get away with whatever they're currently doing. Now, I'm going to assume it's some form of mafia, yakuza, or whatever it is, but for now, though, obviously, the two characters in question that were kind of like our MCs of this episode, they got into trouble, they saw things they shouldn't, and obviously this criminal operation had to do things, take it in their own hands to kind of clean it up. Like, the characters that were messing with their minds were a cleanup crew. They were just cleaning up the mess. And obviously, you see to where the character that's able to enter the hearts of people and understand their emotions was able to tamper with this dude to where his reality was so messed up that he thought he was driving on a speedway, and obviously we know what happened to him after that. Then on top of that, we have our main character of the episode that finds out what happened to his friend, doesn't want to really deal with this criminal operation anymore, and they start to tamper with his memories to where everything starts to break in reality. He doesn't really know what's going on, and eventually he actually has his entire personality shifted in such a way to where he's no longer the same person. He believes his friend is awful, he's a murderer, he was by himself, he likes to smoke, etc. His entire personality is pretty much broken down and reconstructed into something completely new. And it is definitely something very complicated at first glance if you don't pay attention to every little thing that happened, but I do appreciate a series that does let me think and makes me wonder what is going on. I don't like series that constantly like to handhold people. I mean, sometimes I do like information given like exposition, but I do love series that really does make you sit down and look at a scene and think about what context of what that scene was about. And that's clearly what the series is trying to do. So that's pretty much the general, summary and, overall what happened within the first episode. So my personal thoughts, I do think that the series has something interesting going on. Because obviously this criminal operation that's going on, they're doing something to people to where they're making them either do what they want, or, they're changing the memories to where they kind of turn a blind eye. And it does make you wonder, all these said characters that are working for this, criminal organization, if they were also twisted like said character within this episode. Like, for instance, the boy that has the scar over his head, what if he actually had his overall memories and thoughts, everything kind of messed up to where he would work for them? Now, that would be interesting if that is the twist that people are telling me would happen. So every worker for this organization is kind of people that are slaves to this organization. So yeah, overall, I do think that Pet has something good going for it. I do think that it's fascinating. I have heard, though, from certain individuals on Twitter that apparently the characters are rather weak or not the best. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is from someone that's watched 3 to 4 episodes of the said series. So we'll see, or at the very least, I will see where it goes. But I do think that so far I do enjoy this series. I'm definitely going to continue to watch it. I'll probably watch some more as soon as I finish this video. But with that, guys, I love you. I want you all to have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And with that, Chibi out.